Collecting Pokemon cards has been an absolute chore lately. You go to the store and it's empty, prices are through the roof, and people are losing interest for other collectibles. And to be honest, I understand. I've felt the same way as many of you, but of course there are some ways to help quell that thirst for Pokemon cards, and well, it's scrolling short form videos, because my attention span is that of a squovit. But on this particular day, I scrolled and scrolled until
Barnes & Noble is selling this Pokemon Find It book that's illustrated like the early Gen 1 art style by Ken Sugimori.
a Where's Waldo for Pokemon? Where's Wigglytuff? Where's Weezing? Doesn't matter what it is, but what it can be. This book can be a very unique way to collect Pokemon cards. What if, instead of using the listed Pokemon on each page to search the absolutely beautiful illustrations for the Pokemon on said page, we went and found Pokemon cards for them instead? Welcome to the East Coast Collectibles Convention. This is my home convention, the very first card show I ever went to, EC3. And here I am to tackle the Where's Wigglytuff Challenge. The Where's Weezing Challenge? I don't know. It's a working title, folks. As I'm setting up to tackle the challenge, Parth comes up to me to say hello and that he watches my content. Parth, thank you so much for your support. He was interested in what I was doing today, so I told him about the challenge that I was filming, and Parth, being the superstar he is, gave me a Zapdos full art from 151 to use for the challenge. We did find out that Zapdos can be found in the book, but since I'm not there yet, I will save it for later, because we are trying to tackle this one page at a time. But now it's time to start the challenge. No more dilly-dallying, let's take a look at the first page in the book, and of course, what we see is no surprise. This book is very much based around the original 151 Pokemon, so as you probably already have guessed, the first page is asking us to find Pikachu, Clefairy, Squirtle, Charmander, and Bulbasaur.
Alright, once again, I found myself in a position, as I often do, is in need of binders and bulk cards. So we're going to be walking around here hoping we can find that type of stuff. I'm not trying to spend too much money on big cards at the moment because I don't know what else is in this book, so we'll see. We're going to go from here, and hopefully we can get these 5 Pokemon in there pretty quickly.
Walking the con, I see a table with a familiar face. It's Flex Collects. Maybe you know Flex, maybe not, but I do and have for a very lengthy amount of time. Flex is actually a longtime supporter of the channel and recently told me he's been trying his hand at vending, so it was great to see him tackling this new element. Looking through the binder on his table, I find all 3 Kanto starters. It's the 151 poster collection promos. This is such a great start. In one fell swoop, we are adding all 3 starters into the binder. Flex was kind enough to just give us the cards too, so please, if you ever see Flex around, make sure to say hello and support. I round the corner and find a couple binders. The first binder I look through seems promising. It's just an amalgamation of cards from all eras. Considering we have Clefairy and Pikachu too. Oh, look, it's Pikachu. We need Pikachu. I give the vendor some cash, put the Pikachu into the binder, and one last card left to go. While I'm making this deal, I make a mental note that this binder might be something to come back to later on. Moving on to a couple more vendors, I even find someone selling some battle partners, the Japanese journey together. What are the chances I get the Clefairy? But the risk of spending tons of money before hitting the reward is not worth it at this point. So I pass. I find myself near the entrance of the convention where I spot a vintage Clefairy in a binder. I pay for it, and that's it. Super easy, right?
Okay, page 1 complete. Time for page 2.
Time to move to page 2 of our Where's Wigglytuff book, which is based on the Viridian Forest. The Pokemon that we're looking for are Weedle, Slowpoke, and Caterpie. Interesting selection from those who put the book together, as Caterpie and Weedle are regularly found in the Viridian Forest, but Slowpoke, not so much. I continue walking the con floor until I bump into Coliseum Cards and Collectibles. I have purchased from these guys before. This is where I bought my Blissey V Alt Art PSA 10 for the PSA 10 alternate art challenge that I did a couple years back. They also gave me a booster pack of Burning Shadows to open for my daily pack challenge. Thank you so much for that. Can't wait to open this and pull the Charizard that Pat can't pull. Now right away I noticed that this table has boxes of bulk, and that made me realize that this will be a prime zone for completing this challenge. I start sifting through and look at this, Slowpoke and Caterpie, found already. That didn't take too much time, but after continuing my look through, I realized Weedle is nowhere to be found here. Found here. Because I know exactly where I'm gonna find a Weedle Pokemon card. I start to head in that direction, and as I do, I bump into some supporters of the channel. This guy told me he's already subscribed and will leave a like on this video. And this guy said he isn't subscribed but will subscribe to the channel. So be like them, like and subscribe. The binder I was walking to is the same binder we found the Pikachu at. And bam, Weedle, found. Into the binder, I put the Weedle, and page 2 of the book is complete. Page 3 of the book gives us a peek into Mount Moon. One would think Clefairy would be found in this list, but no. Diglett, Zubat, and Jigglypuff are what we're going to be looking for here. This time, I have a plan to make this super easy. Remember when I said Coliseum Cards and Collectibles table was prime zone for completing this challenge? Well, it is, but at the moment, it looks like there's a couple other customers in front of the table, which did worry me a bit because I only have but a few hours left of this card show before it closes. But the way the first 2 pages went, we are honestly making great time, so nothing to worry about. In terms of waiting your turn at vendor tables, that's just the name of the game. Be respectful, let customers and vendors do their deals, and then when there is an opening for you, go in yourself. A quick look through those bulk cards again, and Jigglypuff, Zubat, as well as Diglett, all found. Another page of the Where's Wigglytuff book complete. Into the binder these cards go, and we move forward. Cerulean City, the home of Misty and the second gym, is where the Where's Wigglytuff book takes us next. The book points us in the direction of Tentacool, Mr. Mime, and Poliwag. I quickly find a giant binder of smaller cards, the stuff most people would call bulk. So glad I keep finding these binders that are filled with just normal cards. The entire point of this challenge is just finding Pokemon cards, making it interesting and fun. It's not supposed to be stressful. We aren't breaking the bank here, we're just using this book as a vehicle towards putting together a binder. If you yourself were interested in tackling a challenge like this, a link to the book can be found in the description. The continued search in this binder provides us with some movement. Mr. Mime, let's get it into the binder. We continue our search and find a box of cards. The ironic part of looking through the boxes is I keep seeing Pokemon that I was searching for before. Goes to show, the second you start looking, you won't find it. But when you're not looking, these cards kind of just show up. There's a life lesson in there somewhere, folks, but for now, a Poliwag gets picked up and added to the binder. So far, of all the pages, this one is definitely the one I have spent the most time on. Is it concerning? Maybe, but at the same time, there's no way I won't be able to find Tentacool. You constantly always find Tentacool in the games. Oh my Arceus, I can't find a Tentacool. A vendor even tried to help us, but guess what? It was a Tentacruel. How is this stupid jellyfish causing me trouble? Eventually, I do find a binder with a Tentacool, but of course the vendor isn't around. I realize this is probably a good time for me to go to an ATM. I need to grab some cash. The vendor isn't actually here for me to pay for the card, and when it comes to these conventions, cash is king. The end of the card show is also only a few hours away, and I really need to use my time wisely. For this next portion, I had cameraman Kat hold off on the recording. So we'll be using this map of the convention to show you everything that's happening. I walk out of the main hall to go to an ATM, but it didn't work. So now I have to find another ATM. I further walked out to the main area of the Mohegan Sun Casino, found another ATM, but it didn't work. I got back into the main hall, meet with cameraman Kat, and when she asked why it took so long, I had to explain the entire story I just told you. Now, don't tell cameraman Kat this, but I was actually on the courtyard.io website. I was going through the marketplace to see if I could find any purchases for my collection. You see, Courtyard is a digital marketplace for real graded cards. You can buy, sell, and even send slabs to your friends. By the way, the slabs are all yours. Courtyard just holds onto them in their super safe vault so they don't take up space in your possession. You can request that they send them over to you at any time, and for a small shipping fee, you'll have them in hand in no time. Courtyard also offers mystery slab vending machines. Look, I just opened a mystery pack and pulled the Tarantula PSA 9 illustration rare. Now, if you're not really interested in the slab that you pull, Courtyard themselves will offer you a buyback of 90% fair market value every single time. Head on over to Courtyard.io via the link in the description. Use code POWDR10 for 10% off of your first Courtyard Mystery Slab vending machine purchase. Eventually, I managed to grab some cash from a good friend of mine, Mark, Hustle Collects Online. Went back to the vendor that had the tentacle and added it to the binder. That's page 4 completed. And wait, what? It took over an hour to do this? Are you kidding me? What happened? I quickly move on to page 5, and I don't have time to explain the theme of page 5 because we took so much time with page 4. Luckily, I see Porygon and Golduck are 2 of the 3 Pokemon. I realize that the vendor who I just bought the Tentacool from has both of these in his binders. I start looking through the binders again, and both Porygon and Golduck come out just like I remembered. Great start to page 5, making up for all the time lost with page 4. We end up back where we found the Poliwag because Cameraman Cat remembered that she saw a Raichu here, and yes, we got it! We add the Raichu to the binder, that's page 5 done, and let's move on to page 6 of the Where's Wigglytuff book. Page 6 is perfect for the spooky season. It's got ghouls and ghost-type Pokemon. Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar are our targets for this page. I have an idea that Flex might have something we are looking for.
Gengar is going to be tough. Gengar is going to be tough. Let's go to Flex. I have a strong feeling Flex will have at least some sort of stuff like this. I just know how his mind works because I've talked to him for 3-4 years now. So thank you. So let's go to Flex for this.
And look at this, I was right, Flex had a Haunter. This is one of my all-time favorite cards. I even pulled one of these Japanese Haunters for the daily pack binder this year. I then started searching through some binders throughout the con and came up short. I went to Steve of Power Collectibles who gave me the bad news he had no raw Gengars or Ghastlies. I turned around to look at more tables and that's where we found it. A binder filled with 151 singles, a 151 binder. I could pretty much finish the challenge here. I make a quick little deal ski for the Ghastly and Gengar and they are added to the binder, and look, I put them into the binder in perfect order, of course. Page 6 completed and we move on to page 7. We are headed to the Safari Zone on this page, looking for Pidgey, because of course the Safari Zone is where you would go to find the common bird species Pokemon of Kanto, Tauros and Mewtwo. Wait, Mewtwo? Mewtwo's here? What?
I don't want to go back to that guy because it would totally be cheating. So let's look around and see what we can find. And maybe pick up a little bit more special cards. You know, we can't just stick around with the cheapies. We need to get some stuff in here that's substantial too, right? So let's see what we can find.
Looking at some of these tables, I do see some Mewtwo's, but obviously these are the big boys. I don't want to spend too much money here. No reason to break the bank on a Mewtwo EX from the old EX era. This is where I'm lucky to say that I have Cameraman Cat. Cat tells me to go back to one of the tables where we were earlier because she had spotted a Tauros in one of the binders. And again, Cameraman Cat comes clutch. At the same table, as I continue my search, we find ourselves the Pokemon Go TCG set Mewtwo V-Star. Unfortunately, the rest of my search here doesn't really go to plan. I find myself some Pidgeotto art rares, but no Pidgey. How is Pidgey, one of the most common Pokemon, the one that's giving me trouble of these 3? I add both the Tauros and Mewtwo into the binder, and my journey takes me back to Coliseum Cards and Collectibles.
Oh, I thought I did it, and then I did do it.
Oh.
The Sparrow got me.
Perfect.
It's Legendary Collection again.
Thank you, that's fine.
All 3 cards found, Mewtwo, Tauros, and... wait, hold on, what?
Dratini, Mewtwo. Dratini and Pidgey. What? I just messed up. Do you have to? There's got to be a Dratini here. We're not done with this page.
Luckily for me, Coliseum also had a Dratini, which I added to the binder, and that was just stressful for no reason. What page are we on? We are on 8, just like the amount of gym badges you need to get into the Pokemon League. This page is based around the Elite Four, which to be honest doesn't make much sense since we were just at the Safari Zone for page 7, but sure. Slowbro, Venusaur, and Ekans are the 3 that we need to find, and I have the answers to this one.
Ekans, Venusaur, Slowbro. So this might be a little tough, and this is where I'm going to cheat a little bit, and we're going to go back to that 151 binder.
Ekans and Slowbro, no issues. But Venusaur, the binder, the 151 binder that I've been going to, the cheat code for this challenge, it didn't have a Venusaur. I looked through the other binders at this table and we find nothing. I walk just across some more vendors where I see Carlos, Rocketman Relics. He's a great friend of mine and even gifted me a Shining Legends booster pack a few months ago where I pulled the Mewtwo secret rare for the daily pack challenge. Unfortunately, Carlos didn't have a Venusaur, but Steve of Power Collectibles had a couple raw Venusaurs. So I had to pick my favorite Venusaur card of all time, an Erica's Venusaur. So far, this is the most expensive card that's going to go into the binder. If you really think about how much I've spent on this challenge, it's practically nothing, which is great. Into the binder, the Venusaur goes, and we finish page 8. Moving on to page 9, we have our largest list of Pokemon to tackle here. Beedrill, Weezing, Execute, Clefable, Eevee, and Machop. But I think I have a problem. I check the time and it hits me.
I'm not finishing this challenge at all. All right.
Is this me being honest with myself, or is this just some doubt creeping in? Either way, I can't give up. I can't give up now. I just have to keep going. I start my search as I do any of these, going through binders. I could head back to the 151 binder and make it easy for myself, but what kind of challenge would that be? After some wandering around and some stressing out, I find myself at the PowdrTCG table, where we searched and searched but only came up with an Execute. That's good, but I need more. A small walk to the table right behind me and I find a binder of some modern cards and manage to find a Clefable. Another table and another binder. This one does have an Eevee, but man, $15 is tough. There's no way I can't find another Eevee somewhere here. Oh, just a couple more pages of turning and here we go. We've got a much cheaper Eevee. I see that the same vendor has a $5 and under binder where we find a Machop and a much cheaper Eevee. Some more flips through the pages and a Beedrill finds its way into our possession too. With that Beedrill, the last Pokemon we need to finish this page, Weezing. This entire time I've been calling this challenge the Where's Wigglytuff challenge, yet here we are searching for a Weezing. Where's Weezing? I pay for the cards and throw what I did manage to find into the binder, and the search for Weezing begins. At this point, I don't really have much of a choice. I have to go back to that 151 binder. Or not, because there's people standing in front of the 151 binder, and I'm not entitled to that binder. I'll just have to make use of my time by looking through these cards in this organizer box here until we... Oh! Weezing! Weezing! There it is! Weezing! Done! Page 9 is complete! With page 9 being complete, we're moving on to page 10, and Cameraman Cat is a very smart cookie because she says, hey, take a second to look at what we need in page 10. It's Weedle, Graveler, and Geodude on the list for the Pokemon on page 10. So Cat says, instead of going away to find these Pokemon, let's just stay here. Why didn't I think of this strat earlier, folks? Just stay where I am. I don't need to run around. The cards that I just went through are fresh in my head. And it's a good thing Cameraman Cat told me to stick around here because Weedle and Graveler were both found. We add the Weedle and we add the Graveler into the binder and move towards Geodude. Okay, editor, pause the video here. I want you to understand. From this point, I went through binders, I sat on the floor and sifted through bulk, Cameraman Cat looked at some plushies, and then, finally, after around 20 minutes of searching, I found a table with so much bulk. We find a Geodude. We add it to the binder, page 10 is complete, but folks, there's a big problem. We have so many pages left, 22 pages in fact. Yes, we've only finished 10 of the 22 pages in this book. And how much time do we have?
I have all this left. I have all this left. This is not possible. Do I even continue? We have 10 minutes left. No, right?
I said just call it.
Yeah. Cameraman Cat said call it, so we are not continuing the challenge because Cameraman Cat said call it, and we listen to what Cameraman Cat says because
Time of death is 350.
Was I maybe peer pressured into ending the challenge by Cameraman Cat? Yes. Was there a chance I finished the challenge in the final 10 minutes? Of course there was, I believe in myself. But the Where's Wigglytuff, Where's Wheezing, the working title challenge ends up being as my first failed challenge.